Hey guys, it's Eric here. Still currently set up at the Bag Lady, but I have been given homework by a friend and the divine, both at the same time. It's always fun, being or getting to do what I do. So, as you know, here in Charlotte, there's the possibility of the storm that's coming up this weekend. Now, think about what happens down here in the South. We have the milk and bread. Everyone kind of freaks out. No one really knows what we're doing, besides the point. So we're kind of like working already with the energy of disruption just by the possibility of that storm coming in. If you think about it, when we have moments of like snow or um, let's see, moments of the deep, deep cold that is happening, right? What would that mean on a spiritual perspective, right? I would say that the cold is a moment for stillness, right? Think about this, if you've ever seen it, right? The morning where you wake up and it snowed overnight. There's nothing on the ground besides the snow. It's just pure and peaceful, and there's no footprints in it just yet, depending on where you're at. And that's kind of the energy that we're being presented with this weekend here in Charlotte. We have these moments of chaos that leads us up to this point, right? To kind of get us there. Oh, what if the power goes out? Have your contingencies for that. Oh, you know, um, what if I need to go out and I have to do something? Be very careful, right? Have your plans in mind. But, this does give us the opportunity to stay within, right? It's a moment to stay in the house, maybe. And instead of being on our devices and watching things, it could be a pure moment of connection between just yourself, right? It could be moments of meditation that you can go into that could be very helpful, right? Trying to go within in that moment of stillness to just understand yourself more. When you take a deep breath and you start really thinking about your life, what's the very first thing that comes to mind? And use that as a jumping off point, saying, what's coming to mind right now, and what am I trying to understand about it? Or what am I trying to understand about myself through this? Or it could be pure moments of connection with others, such as if you live with somebody, a partner, family, friends, or just roommates. How can we connect in with those places too, right? These are places of contemplation where we say, does this dynamic still feel right? Is there something I want to understand more about this or this person? How can I connect on a deeper level, especially if it's your partner, right? Where we go in and we just start to connect. Sometimes staying inside can be fun. I'm not going to go into that. If you know, you know. But these are times where the stillness happens, or or maybe it's reading a book by the fireplace to connect in with yourself, or to connect in with a different aspect of your being, or maybe it's playing board games with other people, right? These are things that don't require electricity, unless you're trying to read at night or playing games at night, besides the point. But instead of seeing this as a big obstacle to kind of overcome with it all, maybe we can try to see it from a different perspective, where it's a beautiful moment for peace. It's a beautiful moment for connection. It's a beautiful moment just to be within the self and enjoy what our homes, our houses have for us. It's also a moment for being grateful for those things, because when you're inside, hopefully, as long as we have power, we'll see. You're going to be warmer in there typically, right? So, there's many gifts that the storm can bring us, even if we do have, we can call it snowmageddon, with however many inches or whatever they're saying now. Energy is, or storms are liable to change, right? But I know for me, when I sat with it before I even knew the storm was coming, I was told to get food by my guides. So making sure you have enough food on hand is going to be important as well. Now, let's kind of see, pull some cards. Let's see who wants to go, to really understand what we have going on here. What are some opportunities besides what I've mentioned here that the storm is bringing? So we have a few cards already. Our very first one, I do find this kind of interesting, right? We have the fire card showing up right here. We have the twin dragons, such as like kind of looking like the Caduceus a little bit, but we have the person on the bottom here. You know, fire is what we need to stay warm. It's how humanity started to grow and change. Once we discovered fire, we could start innovating with it. We weren't as scared of the dark because we had something to light the way. And you can almost liken this weekend as a moment to go within to find that inner fire, right? If you're really looking at the person here, their head is pointed down to their belly, right? And if we're connecting fire to, what we'll call the chakras, it's connected into our belly chakra, our solar plexus, right? It's a place of willpower, of strength, of courage, right? Can also be a place of nervousness as well, but we're all trying to light that inner fire within us, right? Where we're warmed from within, you could even say. We have the power to get whatever we need done, but sometimes we have to nurture that, right? You could almost think of this with the fire as the hearth, where we are nurturing our home, our house, right? Back in the day, the hearth was the center of the home, because it's where you cooked, it's where you warmed the home, it's where you sat beside to stay warm, right? And so what we're doing here, even with this metaphorical storm, or the storm that is coming, is that we're getting a chance to light this fire from within. So again, I want to remind you, it is a moment for connection. Absolutely. Our second card here is full spectrum. So it's almost as if once we find the courage or the willpower to light that fire in our belly here, where we've gone within and finally connected in with it. We have this full spectrum card, which is, you could almost say, death and rebirth in a way. The reason why I say death and rebirth, so we have our skulls here, we have what's called the Merkaba, which is known as the light vehicle, and then we do have the Fae here with each of their chakras kind of aligned here, and we have our last one is also a chakra as well. But in the moments of chaos that this could possibly bring, especially if there is power outages, it's, I can make it through this, right? I can step through it all. I can see it for the good and for the challenge, right? We don't want to do good and bad. That's more dualistic or duality consciousness, but the good and the challenge, right? So, we're being challenged to be fully activated, to be fully present. And so maybe something during this time period of this weekend is coming up and is going to challenge you to be very fully present. Maybe it is the power going out. Maybe it's something else. I'm not sure. There's a lot of people who are watching this. And so I'm picking up on the general energy for us all, and the general energy of this storm that's kind of coming in. It's very interesting. We're not going to get into all that. Maybe I'll do another video about that. But, we're being called to align with ourselves. And that's kind of what our last card is. It's the crown chakra. It's the chakra at the top of the head right here, where it's the unlimited self, right? Because the crown chakra is talking about our connection to everything, right? So there's a reminder, here that we are connected with all, right? We're connected with other people. So if something were to happen this week, if you can help, please do, right? Because those people are you. They are connected to you. I am connected to you as well, right? We're all here. Or you could say no one's here, right? It's our perception of who's around us and what exists. And those are some big things that can get a little confusing at times. I will not lie. But those are some of the big things that we have going on for this possible storm, right? Even as the energy builds up to this point, we get a chance to embrace the chaos, see what lies within, because sometimes it's through the chaos that we find the pearl of everything, or find the self, which is what we're being asked, right? The thing about fire being passion, it's also drive, it's also action, right? So how can we be actionable even in stillness, right? Maybe it is through the action of stillness that we're being actionable, because this is what we've been called to do. All right, so, be careful out there this week or this weekend as things are happening here in, the Southeast, and then, just generally here in Charlotte as well. Just be mindful. Use this as a time for contemplation, for connection, for meditation, especially, or journaling. There's many ways to connect in with the self. Just find the right one that connects for you. If you haven't enjoyed writing, try something else. Maybe your form of expression or connection is singing. Maybe you want to create a song just like you did when you were a kid. Maybe you want to drum it about, and in doing the drum, your whole body starts to feel alive again. Maybe it's through dance. Maybe it's through art. Everyone is going to be different. So what resonates for you? What brings you alive, and what really gets you fully activated? We're all being called to be activated or fully present with life. So how does that show up, and how can you do that here and now? So these are questions I want you guys to be thinking on. You can leave your comments in the comment section down below. And if you have people that you think this would resonate with, please send it. The messages are here for you guys. So whenever you feel connected with it, please share. All right, I'm sending you guys so much love. Stay safe out there. Get some food. Stay home. Drink hot chocolate. Read a book. Or meditate. All those fun things. I'm sending you guys so much love. All right. Bye for now.